Hello, online crew. I've got a couple of very special guests with me today, and we're going to share with you our top strategies to increase your engagement on social media. This is something I know these beautiful ladies, Skyly and Mel, say hello, have lived and breathed through, working with me in my VIP mentorship program with executing different strategies to increase their engagement. One of the common things I find for people with building on social media is they try really hard with different pieces of content, but they just don't get the engagement that they're looking for. And there's reasons for that. We think we should be doing certain things, but then we learn a thing or two, we get some more skills under our belt, we execute things differently, and then more engagement comes. So I know Skyly and Mel have, been trying different things over the last few months with sort of content and different things that they're doing. So I'll let them share with you in a moment what changes they've made. So I really hope this is going to be beneficial for you to hear what our top tips are with increasing your engagement, because I know what we're doing works. I know what I'm teaching these ladies, and watching them execute these things has made a difference in their engagement. So this is really important. I'm going to start with a tip that I often talk about, but I don't think people do enough of. And that's, if you want more engagement from your social media, have more of a conversation with your audience than talking at your audience, if that makes sense. I think a lot of people post in a way where they're promoting something or talking about something, like about a business or about a program or about a product, but they forget to include the reader in with that kind of conversation. So when you can think of like a piece of content, it's like, am I bringing my audience in with me in this conversation? Am I asking them questions? Am I saying things like, have you felt that before? So when they're reading it, they're already nodding their head when they're reading your content, like they feel connected to you. If you want more engagement, you need to basically sort of show up in that way where you're having more of a conversation, sharing more of a story, and bringing the viewer, the audience in with you. And then you ask for engagement. If you want more engagement, ask for it. Ask questions during your content. Say things like, in a post, you're explaining something about your journey or your story, and then say, have you felt that way before? Can you relate to what I'm sharing? Like, ask questions in your content. Ask for, even at the bottom of your content, there might actually be a keyword that you've got for them to get more information. So if you'd like to learn more about what I use and what's helped me, drop the word such and such, and I'll share some more information with you. So if you want people to engage with you, if you want them to ask for information, if you want them to talk back to you, then those couple of things alone can make a big shift. So have a conversation with your audience in your content. Don't talk at your audience. People don't like to be talked at. They like to have a conversation. So, think of it like, if you're in a party and you're, say, Skyly or Mel, like they're in front of me at a party, and I'm meeting them for the first time, or I'm just getting to know them. Like some people are getting to know you on social media. If I'm having a conversation and getting to know somebody and I want a response for them, I'm going to ask them questions, aren't I? Like, if you're in that situation, if you're in a room talking to somebody else, you're going to at some point ask them a question. The reason why you're doing that is because you want them to engage back. Like, it's a two-way street. Treat your social media like a two-way street, not a one-way verbal diarrhea. So, that kind of shift and asking questions to get the engagement, just think about that the next time you post. Okay. I hope that's helpful. So, Skyly, I know you've had some big shifts in your content, and that's made a big difference. And even people have voice messaged you and complimented you on your content and your shifting content. So what is it that you've done that's increased your engagement?
I think for me, one of the biggest things that I've done is drop the filter, and then the engagement went up. And there's sort of 5 things that I think I've done to help in that space. So I think, and you've sort of touched on it a bit, Helen, with what you've been talking about, but when people actually want to connect with you, and you always talk about, be human first. And I think, growing up with social media, we're sort of almost trained ourselves to show our best selves, and that's not being authentic. So I think for me, it was actually, showing the messy stuff, actually talking about my journey. And I think when I first joined you, Helen, this program, I was really excited about the program and the products in my business, and wanting people to, thinking, why, people need to do this. I'm feeling great. Come and do this with me. But it was very salesy, and I hadn't realized that. And actually, by sharing my journey, that changed, and really just talking about me and how it had helped me. And people actually then started to connect and would reach out and say, wow, actually, I've been through that too. Or thanks for sharing that. I've, got a similar experience. So that authenticity really made a difference. And I was probably very scared to do that. Like it can be a bit confronting to actually talk about you and things that have happened in your life. But once you just sort of shake it off and go for it, that's actually where people start to connect. So that connection was really big. I think one of the next things is around, your story is your superpower. Like nobody's had your exact story or gone on your exact journey, but they can make those connections and build that trust. And I think then that trust in you, that actually you're an authentic person and you're there to help, not to sell a product or whatever it is really important, because people don't want to buy products, but they want to experience what you've got, like what you're feeling, and those feelings really help. I think that's really helped with my authenticity of who am I, who is Skyly, and what is she doing here on social media. So that really helped. And I think they're not acting like I was putting forward, I guess, a facade of me on social media, and that was probably pretty evident. But once I started to show a bit about me, and then maybe on some platforms a bit about my family and different things that were of interest to me, and hobbies and things that I'd been doing, people started to connect with, maybe a book I was reading, or walking down the beach, or, getting healthy with my whole family now, and cooking with the kids and things like that. So I think that has really then helped engagement in terms of people reaching out. And I have had lots of people now commenting, saying, wow, that's so nice that you're actually sharing that, and long lost people as well that I might have known when I was younger, reaching out and thanking me. So it's been really nice. And then I think really that people don't reach out because you're perfect. And I think the right people will reach out. And I think that was something I really struggled with a lot. And I was probably trying to reach everybody and anybody, And then what I really learned through this program in particular is really getting clear on your niche, and not just, women, I'm a woman, or women. No, really actually getting specific. And once I started to think about, well, what is it? I'm a woman over 40 who's actually going through perimenopause, and I have a family with kids. Well, why not talk to those people that can actually relate with what I'm going through? And, only even recently I've started using those words, talking about my belly fat and things that you're like, oh God, do I want the whole world to know about this? But there's many other women who are going through those things that are wondering what to do. So if I can share those things with them and talk about my story, that's actually building that big connection, and, showing people that actually I care and I want to help people and help them get to their goals. So I think that's been the biggest thing that's helped, just connecting with people. And it's not about connecting to benefit in terms of sales. It's actually about connecting with people to help them with what they can do. And I think that's the last point, is that not everybody is your person necessarily. And what you actually helped with a lot, Mel, is working through what you talked about before, is those conversations are really important, not only so you don't scare people off, which is what I was doing. Here's a link, here's a flyer, here's, I'm so excited, and people going, whoa, that's pretty full on. But it's actually trying to work out what is the problem this person's connected with me for, and can I actually help them? And if maybe I can't, that's okay to say, maybe, I'm not your right person, or this is not the right thing for you. And that was a big learning curve for me. Is not everyone's going to be your person.
Yeah, and sometimes you need to slow it down to speed it up, which is what you've done. You massively slowed down that conversation, and I think this is a a downfall of a lot of people in the industry is they don't go too quickly. When someone shows a little bit of interest, then they go too fast, too quick to then like the link and the price and the, you know, it's just like, hang on, let's just make a human connection so we can build trust between you and that person, whether this is actually going to be right for you. So even when, and I've shared this so many times on social media, on my trainings, is even when somebody says, where is that? Where can I get it? Can you send me a link to it? I don't straight away. I slow it down and I say, more than happy to give you that information, but do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions first, just to see if this is going to be a good fit for you? So automatically, whether they think it consciously or not, it could be unconsciously, they're like, oh, Helen actually cares about whether I buy this thing or whether it's suitable to me, rather than just going straight to the sale. Because I tell you what happens when you go too quickly to the information and the sale. You might get a lot of links out there and a lot of information out there, but then people don't buy. If you can slow it down, build the trust and build the human connection and let somebody really see why this is going to be beneficial for them and that you can help them, then you're going to close. So there's no use having a lot of leads and a lot of links out there if no one buys. You're better off to slow it down, make a human connection, and get that trust there. And that's everything that you've been doing, Skyly. To me, you are showing up as a completely different person online than when I first started working with you. You're a little bit shy, I would say, almost, no offense to you, but just a little bit cold, because you weren't letting walls down. Like, where was the personality behind you? Now there's personality, there's story, there's authenticity, there's more genuineness, there's like you're a lot warmer to sort of engage with. So yeah, you've gone leaps and bounds in that, and I know how much of a difference that's made from what you've told me, with people voice messaging you and saying, I'm loving your content, like, wow, you're showing up so differently, like you've grown so much. So everything Skyly just said is so important. And it's definitely shifted the way she shows up online, which has shifted her engagement. So well done to you with everything. And thank you for sharing all those tips, because I know everything that you've done has worked. So great job. Great job.
And there's something to be said about a smile, I think. One of the biggest things you said to me, Helen, was, when you were giving me some really specific feedback around Facebook, I think it was, you look like you're just really angry. And I had a look through and I thought, oh my God, that is my resting face, and I hadn't sort of realized. And just smiling and actually talking like a person, I think I was trying to be too serious and get the message across, and that makes a difference. So thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you added that in. And that's probably where my comment of you seem a lot warmer now, because I'd forgotten that I said that to you.
Yeah.
But that's part of, the critique that sometimes, people need to hear on social media. Like, you need another set of eyes on your socials to give you that kind of feedback. And, just think about it. When you walk down the street and you see a stranger and you look up and you smile at the stranger, they're more likely to smile back at you. Okay. When you walk down the same street and look at the same person and you kind of frown at them, they're not going to smile back at you by any means. They're going to get what you give off is what you get back. So letting down those walls, like, and everything that you shared, Skyly, and just a smile, a bit of a warmness. People are smiling with you now. So it's made a massive difference. So well done. Okay, Mel, share us your top tips that have really helped you.
I'm with Skyly. Like, I definitely learned that more as well, because I have a traditional gym and I've had it for 19 years and I've done a lot of marketing with that gym. So it was a foreign concept, like for me as well, to really just let those walls down and just become me and talk about stuff that I would not normally talk about myself, because I'm menopausal women. I'm going through all this sort of stuff, IVF, everything like that. So yeah, it's, I think when you're talking about yourself and your own journey, it really does make it easier as well too. You're not kind of preaching to people.
Yes.
So yeah, I agree with Skyly. Like, it's just, that's been a big one for me as well too. Is just kind of getting out and being human. Like, I love your saying, be a human before a marketer. That is so, so true. So But look, another thing that I really learned was the personal development, and helping me to break those barriers down was a massive part of, because you do a personal development section at the start. And, that was massive for me. So, that's what I've learned. If you're not working on those, on that stuff underneath, you won't grow and you won't break through those kind of barriers and things like that. So, get to really know you. And that stuff's hard. It's not easy, like it's, and sometimes people don't want to face it. So, but, we're all human. We all want to, and people just want to relate to us. And if you can just be normal, I think you'll kind of, get your peeps, or get your vibe, or put your vibe out, and then your tribe will come, like Kylie said. Yeah.
So by you doing that and breaking through that, has that increased your engagement, like letting those walls down and being more vulnerable and just sort of breaking through a bit in your personality and what holds you back? How is that kind of equated to the content that you've been putting out there to get that extra engagement?
Well, it's allowed me to, I guess, recognize those things that I was struggling with. You know what I mean? Like I was struggling with, and I was like Skylie said, you put a wall up because you got to look, you don't want, you just always seem not to be vulnerable in life. That's what we're taught, really. And then doing it on socials is another level, because you got more people looking at. So that's definitely helped me, because it's allowed me to get to the real issues, I guess, and the real me, and hence people, trusting me more, because I am being vulnerable, and I am being, because people, I think they, I guess they respect you for that, because not a lot of people do it, and not a lot of people are vulnerable, but it really just reflects a part of them as well, and then they think, oh yeah, I'm normal too. So
the whole human before a marketer, people need to see themselves in your journey. And like Skylie said before, not all people are your people. And they shouldn't be on social media. You shouldn't be thinking, I just want to sell to anybody. You need to sell to your people. And when you share more of your story, I mean, essentially, most of us are looking for somebody that's on the same journey, or we're just a little bit further ahead on that journey and we've had a result, but there's plenty of people just sitting right behind us that are on that journey now that haven't had the result that we can help, if that makes sense. So this is where that vulnerability and sharing your story more authentically helps people to connect with you more as a human. And when you connect more as a human, and you're not turning up like everyone else is turning up on social media trying to be perfect, which is what Skylie was, but she had her resting, face. She was doing what she thought she should do, and Mel to a degree as well. When you let go of that, that's what builds trust. And I can't express to, this community anymore about how important trust is in this day and age in 2026. People are skeptical, very skeptical of probably what you're selling, very skeptical of social media. They're skeptical of people's intentions. And unless they feel they can get to know you and that they've got that human connection, like you were saying, Mel, like let down the walls and let people kind of get to know you a little bit more, that trust is not there. And we are in a relationship business. So we need to build the trust. How you build that trust is not only, what both Skylie and Mel have talked about, but it's also like the consistency. Like what would you guys say about consistency of content? In stories? I mean, Mel, that was something that I'd love you to share that actually. You're really good in stories. But what we established the other day, you were kind of missing a little bit of that authenticity on her feed. That's just something we've just talked about recently. And I was looking at her feed going, I'm kind of missing a little bit of the real Mel and whatever. So even though she's come leaps and bounds, there's still room for improvement. But you are really good at that in your stories, aren't you, Mel? Yeah.
And because I did the training with you, and I didn't know anything about stories, actually, honestly, to tell you the truth. I just thought you just put posts up, and then you've done a lot of education on stories and all that sort of thing. And I just went, I made the connection. I was like, you used to be yourself in stories, right? So that's what I've been focusing on. But I didn't make the connection until you pointed it out the other day. And actually, only the other day, I had some surgery, and after you said that, I put a post on it, and because I had surgery on my neck, and I put a photo of it, and I had a lot of engagement going on there, saying, I hope you're all right, all that sort of stuff. And, but if they're not in my stories or they're not watching stories, they don't know. You made that connection. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. So just little tips like that, are amazing. That's why you need a coach, because they can look at a second set of eyes, because I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Well, we don't know what we don't know, do we? So I want to finish this training on a really powerful point, sort of wrapping all of this up. And it includes stories as well. So stories is a very, very important place for people to get to know you, the real you. That's what builds the human connection, which helps build trust. So if you want to build up human connection and trust quicker to get the engagement, play in your stories a little bit more. Okay. But here's the magic. When you're putting out stuff in your stories and somebody engages with that, okay, it hits your messenger. Okay. When somebody engages in a story, it hits your messenger. So now the first connection from somebody, if you're really good in your stories, they made the connection first. Okay, so it's not you reaching out to them. They've made the connection first. But because you get really good at learning how to engage with people, you then start a conversation. Like you thank them. Maybe it's only a love heart. Well, thank you so much for your love on my story. How's things going for you? I haven't spoken to you for ages. Whatever. Ask a question or give them a compliment. And now you're in Messenger having a conversation with somebody. Guess who sees your content next when they open up their Facebook? The people that you are talking to in Messenger. Messenger drives the algorithm. So when you're having conversations, whether you intentionally do some what I call ICQ, intention compliment question, and you get into people's Messenger and give them a compliment question and start talking to more people, or you're really good at stories and you share more in your stories and people engage with your stories and then you respond back, either way, their Messenger triggers, and whoever's in your Messenger is who is going to see your content. Okay, so if you want more engagement, up your stories as well, like we were just talking about more with Mel, because that gets more people in your Messenger, and the more people that are in the Messenger, when they open their Facebook the next time, like that's what's with Instagram as well. Okay, works with all platforms. Then if you're really consistent with your content and all the other strategies that Skyly and Mel have shared with you and myself, then they're going to see your content. And because your content's so authentic and real and good, then you're going to get more engagement on your feed as well. Do you see how that works? Like, it's super powerful and so many people overlook it. Honestly, I could talk probably for another half hour with these ladies, like just, talking about all the various things that we do that help engagement. But I hope you've taken something away from this video. Both Skyly and Mel have really increased and shifted the way they show up on social media, their consistency, their vulnerability, their authenticity, and just really proud of both of you. Both of these ladies have been students of mine in my VIP mentorship program, and they're both continuing on for the next 6-month round, which starts on the 1st of April. Any of you that need this kind of focus and attention that I keep saying, I learned that from you, Helen, or I didn't realize that until you told me that and reviewed my work. Like, if that's the kind of shifts that you need to make, just drop the word VIP or message me for the information. There's still spots left, but we start on the 1st of April. Just reach out and see if it's a good fit for you. But on this particular topic, strategies to increase your engagement on social media. Thank you, Skyly, for everything that you've shared. And, again, amazing growth over the last 6 months, and Mel as well. You've had some amazing personal shifts, which is helping you show up as a different person and getting more engagement. So I'm really proud of both of you. And I hope if you're watching or catching the replay, that you get some really good tips out of what we've shared with you today. Because if you execute what we've shared with you, it can make a difference to your engagement and your whole social media journey overall. So thank you, ladies. I appreciate you. Any final thoughts or words? Well, good.
I think just from me, what I'm really looking forward to is taking all that we've talked about now, and even just when you were summarizing then, I was like, yes, like I can't wait for the next 6 months to now sort of implement it. I feel like I've had sort of a learning journey and growth, and now I'm really looking forward to taking those skills and implementing it. So thank you, Helen. It's been great.
Yeah, and I would say, look, I've got a lot going on in my traditional business. I've got other coaches and things like that are expecting things of me, and I could have just said, hey, look, I don't have time, but that was my problem that I learned. But it was busy being busy. So you don't know the things you don't know. So I think it's and even if it's just little learnings and just keeping a coach engaged with you, just keeps you moving forward, no matter how fast or how slow you're going. The coaching just kind of keeps you engaged and moving forward. If at a slower pace or at a faster pace, it doesn't really matter, but as long as you're moving forward. Because if you don't move forward, you're going to waste another year.
Yeah, you're just stuck. And I see that all the time. Like, people want movement, but they stay stuck because they don't do anything about it, or they don't know what they don't know. So they don't get the feedback or the coaching or the mentorship. So you don't want to waste another 6 months or another year spinning your wheels. Like, do what it takes to just to grow, even if it's, like, as you said, Mel, at your own pace. And these ladies are definitely doing that. And I can't wait to see what you guys do for the rest of the year. Love working with you both. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you appreciate these little golden nuggets that you've been given today. So take what you've heard and go and execute and put it into practice. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thanks.